CNN political commentators S.E. Cupp and Errol Louis. Errol's the host of The Big Deal with Errol Louis on Spectrum News. So the young voter conundrum, part 175. How do you get young voters to turn out? What do you think? One, do you think Harry Enten is right, Errol? Just kidding, Harry. He's standing right there staring at me. And also, I wonder how focused either campaign should be or is going to be on turning out young voters when they've got to focus on turning out lots of other aspects of their coalition.
Well, look, it's a big puzzle. Everybody's got to try and do everything, right? But this has been, and Harry's always right, by the way. But there's this thing called an age inversion that pollsters have picked up and have been talking about, which is that Democrats normally do much better with young people, and that has just not been true. It's one of the things that set off the panic that led to a lot of the discussion about why Biden needed to step down. He was doing better with older voters. Unusual for Democrats, but they are, in fact, the most reliable voters. And so they're going to have to see if this is a realignment. Is this a reversion to what normally happens? Or is there something else going on? And that something else, again, goes back to the pressure. The reports that were coming from the field, the strategists that I've talked to keep saying something huge is happening and we have to do something about it. Let's get Biden out of there. Okay, that's fine. But if it's a true realignment, if it's a true change election, it really doesn't matter whose name is at the top of the ticket.
That's right.
If Republicans are going to win this year in a big landslide because the whole country is changing, then that's going to happen no matter who the candidate is.
And also, Essie, but then something else we've been talking about is kind of the reset. I'm sure the Trump campaign would say we're not changing the playbook at all because they say that these are the same policies of Joe Biden that Kamala Harris is pushing. But one thing we know from their campaign memo is that they have said to lawmakers, laser focus in on the border, and as they try to label her and want to label her a border czar, which is a misnomer. Does this become, do you think, the border issue a bigger or smaller issue now with Kamala Harris at the top of the ticket?
It's still a big issue, and they are right to focus on that policy. I would add the economy as well. Yeah. These were two huge drivers. Before Biden got out, they are still going to be huge drivers, and they can attach her to the border. She was appointed to sort of solve this crisis or at least oversee it. And there are plenty of areas and avenues to go after her on policy. What they're doing, because they're scrambling, and they might not admit it, but they are panicked for sure. Now they're sort of fighting again. This once unified party that was very excited and on the same page is now divided over how to attack her. So you've got Republicans like Tim Burchett talking about her being a DEI hire. You've got other Republicans like Mike Johnson, House Speaker, saying, please don't do this.
Like
this
directly.
Is bad for us.
Like, please do not.
This is bad for us. Yeah. So the unity is gone, right? It's now a new day, and the party, it's funny. It's like both campaigns are starting from scratch now. So they're all kind of scrambling.
Let's see. How do you run a presidential campaign from scratch in 6 months?
Yes.
We're about to find out.
Yes.
Talk about a new campaign strategy, new campaign memo out from now Kamala Harris campaign. The memo saying that they're not only, from Jenna Malee Dillon, they're not only going to be targeting the blue wall, they're now also kind of opening back up and going on offense on the Sun Belt states, Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, North Carolina. Bullish? Too bullish?
No. Strategically important and necessary. I mean, the biggest problem, again, why the strategists were panicking over a Biden candidacy was that they were going to have to sort of really try and win all of the blue wall, and that's about all that they could do. They were going to give up on Georgia. The numbers look terrible in Nevada. The numbers look weak in Arizona. Just to be able to say, okay, we've got some possibilities here. You know, a lot of this is about making the other side spend money, tying them down in North Carolina.
Right. Things you say in memos released to the press can also have another intent.
Yeah, exactly right. So there's a lot of that, and of course she's credible in a lot of these areas. Yeah, the other thing, by the way, is that she, in redefining this campaign and the shape of it for Democrats, is going to talk more about the economy. Because when people say inflation, and that's the only story, the stock market hit record highs 36 times this year, including during the RNC. And the Democrats, once they start talking about that, you're going to see in certain areas the economy is red hot. The economy is doing just fine, and that's going to get them some votes.
A reimagined way of talking about the economy and getting people to how voters feel about the economy, that is something the campaign definitely needs. Let's talk about defining. Howard Dean, who ran for president in 2004, saw his chances evaporate after the Scream speech, which he himself calls it the Scream speech. He was just on with John and was talking about kind of the lessons that apply today from, again, what he calls the Scream speech from back then. Let me play this.
Really, I liken my situation to Biden's. I couldn't change the narrative after that. I couldn't change the narrative, and Joe couldn't change the narrative about his age and his dementia and all this other stuff. And you just, it's not fair, but that's politics. And I think Kamala is the antidote to all of that.
So antidote on the age issue, Kamala Harris, but also it had me starting to think about just the whole mantra of you need to define yourself before anyone else does, especially your competitor. Do you think Kamala Harris has work to do there?
Yes. Listen, she's got big name ID. We know who she is, but no one's ever voted for her. And now she is tied to an agenda that in many ways, they're going to want to sort of leave behind. That's why she's there, because she's not Joe Biden, and because she can be a bridge to a future Democratic Party. So she's in a tricky spot. She's going to defend the Biden agenda. He's the sitting president. She's still the vice president. But she also has to say, but I'm different. I'm not Joe Biden. She's got to address some of his policy holes, the policy areas that were dragging him down. Can she be a new voice on Gaza, for example? Can
Howard
she
Dean
win back?
Howard Dean pointed to that too. He
Well,
thinks
it's
that's a place that she could
It's a big
differentiate.
hole for Democrats, especially among young people. Maybe she speaks differently about that. I don't know. Her people are putting out that she is lockstep with Joe Biden on Israel. It's going to be weird, for lack of a better word, because she's going to need to say, here's how I'm different, but here's how I'm going to build on the legacy that Joe Biden has already created. She can't be totally different. She's still defending the guy she works for, but she's got to be a little different, or else what's the point of her, right?
A little bit, a lot of different. It's a whole new day.
Well, that's
Yeah.
right. I mean, look, and something as ephemeral as a Scream speech or a really bad debate, the good thing for Kamala Harris, from her point of view, is that we've only got 100 days, 102 days until
could
this
go
thing
wrong,
is over.
Errol?
Well, no, I mean, seriously, what could go right?
Yeah.
Which is that she's got this wave of enthusiasm.
Yeah.
It's going to perhaps start to change the numbers with some of the young people, and there's no way to defend that. If you had, Chris Rock and Hulk Hogan, and she's getting all of Hollywood right now, and she's got decades worth of connections with them, it's going to play out very differently, and not much chance to sort of do anything about it. That's why I think you're seeing some of the panic on the Republican
Hulk
side.
Hogan and Kid Rock. Just want to make sure we know exactly who we're talking
Yeah,
about.
not
the
Chris Rock,
RNC.
Kid Rock. Big
Oh
difference.
my God, yes.
Big difference. I heard Chris Rock. Did you?
I did, and that's why I just wanted to say that out loud because I know. I mean, believe me, when I say things that,
Kid Rock, right.
things I'm thinking and things that come out of my mouth are two completely different scenarios all the
got
time.
you.
Good to see you guys, the both of you. Thank you so much, Sarah.
Errol, Chris Rock is writing you a stern email right now.